If you've jumped straight into this part of Lesson 3, you will need to open the file purple2.sib in the Lesson 3 folder inside Core Resources. When it asks you about hidden comments, click No. Although drum notation is one of the most common things people call upon Sibelius to do, it's also one of the most complicated notations you'll learn. This isn't because of any shortcoming in Sibelius, it's simply because drum notation is complex. Each of the lines and spaces in the drum staff tells the drummer to play a different sound on the kit. Some instruments are played in several ways, so they have more than one position or more than one note head, hence the use of note heads that have cross, triangle or diamond shapes. To further complicate matters, music publishers subtly vary the way they position these note heads and the way that they lay out the notation. To try to make these things as consistent as possible, Sibelius has based its drum notational system on the recommendations of the Percussive Arts Society, which are laid out in Norman Weinberg's book Guide to Standardized Drum Set Notation. To make it easy to see the different rhythms for each instrument in the drum kit, voices are used. The word voices in this context refers to the fact that some notes can have stems pointing up and some can have stems pointing down, so that two independent rhythms can be read at once on the same staff. Again, music publishers vary exactly which instrument should be written in which voice, but it will be similar to the parts that you'll create here. One of the ways I like to get started quickly with a drum pattern is to modify one of the many copyright-free patterns that come with Sibelius in the Ideas panel. Open the Ideas panel again, and then type drum into the search field. Press Enter or Return. Many drum beats are available, and, as usual, you can preview them by clicking and holding on each one. If you're using Sibelius 7 sounds, there may be a short delay while samples for that kit are loaded. Find the idea called Rock Drum Kit 9, which is one that nearly matches the drum pattern already used in the score. Select the drum part in bar 13 and then click the Paste Idea button. You can make as many variations to the beat as you like. In the introduction, the only change is to drag the ride cymbal down to the position of the splash cymbal. Repeat these 4 bars twice by pressing R for repeat. The second repetition, which starts at bar 21, needs to be edited now to match the rhythm of the rest of the band, as shown on the screen. You can also copy this pattern from your book. Just the cymbals part are changed, and so add the accent and change the rhythm to a dotted 8th note or quaver in the keypad, and then so on, as shown. You can use the R key to repeat a note with the cross note head to save you having to change that note head manually, although you'll learn how to do that in a moment anyway. Modify the rest of the rhythm as shown on screen, and then repeat it in bars 23 and 24. Making drum patterns from scratch is a little more complicated, but you actually have most of the skills needed already. The next empty drum bars come at bar 31, and the pattern to be copied in those bars is shown on screen as well as given in your book. To make this as easy as possible, here is the voice 1 of the rhythm on its own and with normal note heads. These are the notes which will have stems pointing up, although they won't flip up until voice 2 is added. To input these notes with alphabetic entry, simply imagine that it is actually a treble clef staff. So, in other words, the pitches of the notes are G and A. Don't worry if you hear no sound as you put these notes in, you'll need to change the note heads before you get the right sounds. In bar 34, there's a big tom-tom film, and it's as simple as putting in a series of 2-note chords as shown. Next, you will put in voice 2. To help, the rhythm shown is voice 2 alone. Select bar 31 and press N for note entry, but before you start entering notes, press Alt and 2, or Option and 2 on a Mac, to select voice 2. Note that the carré changes green to let you know that you're going to input into voice 2. Any selected note lengths on the keypad also turn green to remind you, and if the mouse pointer is over your score, it will be green too. Add the rhythm for voice 2 in the correct spaces as shown. Again, it's easy to use alphabetic entry, so practice this. As you do this, Sibelius will automatically flip all of the voice 1 notes upward, so the stems don't collide. When you've completed all 4 bars in both voices, you're nearly there. However, you need the correct note heads to get the right sounds. You could select each one and change the pitch, but that would take ages, so let's use a filter again instead. Make a passage selection of all 4 bars and then click on the Advanced button in the Select group in the Home tab. As shown, choose the single radio button under Pitch, and then G and Octave 5. Click Select and all of the hi-hat notes will be highlighted blue. You can change their note heads to crosses by clicking on Notations and then clicking the lower half of the Type Split button in the note heads group. Choose the first cross note heads and they will all be changed at once. They'll also start to play back correctly now. There are a few other note heads that need changing. The splash symbols at the start of bars 31 and 33, and the diamond-shaped open hi-hat notes. Make these changes manually to complete the drum pattern, and then repeat all 4 bars or input them again if you feel you need the practice. Having put some effort into creating your own drum pattern from scratch, you may like to keep it for future use as a starting point for more patterns, in the same way you can use the patterns that are already in the Ideas panel. While the 4 bars are selected, simply click the Capture Idea button or press the shortcut Shift and I. To complete the drum part for the entire song, copy and paste the 4-bar drum pattern from bar 21 into the empty bars at bar 39 where the chorus material returns.